All right, it is 6 o'clock, so I'd like to call this meeting of the Charter Township of Comstock Planning Commission to order. If everyone would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first up, approval of the agenda.
Before we approve the agenda, I would like to know if under any other business, if Mr. Mark Zani is here. I don't know if I said his last name right, for a rezone request. Do we have anybody in the audience for that?
Mark Zani.
Zani, thank you.
He is not here.
He's not here, okay. If he was, I was gonna offer to move it to the front of the agenda so he didn't have to wait. Okay, if not, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second. Support.
Motion made by Commissioner Bloomfield, Treasurer Bloomfield, supported by Commissioner Kreitzer. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes. All right, moving on to the approval of the minutes. We have the December 11th, 2025 meeting minutes.
I have one very minor correction on packet page 12, line 31. It says that Nichols shared that he was also happy to be reported and looks forward to working with commissioners. I believe that was meant to be reappointed.
That, I think, is on the second. Yeah, that's on January 22.
Yes, that's the January 22, like I said, packet page 12, line 31.
There's also another correction to line 30. At that point, I was no longer the chair. I was the vice chair in the meeting.
If I may, Madam Chair,
Yes, go ahead.
are you referencing the December 11th meeting?
I was. We are.
Bouncing
Everyone
around?
else is talking about adjustments on the other. So let's first solve for December 11th. If we don't have any adjustments for that one, I'd be looking for a motion to approve those meeting minutes.
Well, I believe he was referring to the 12th.
No,
No,
we
that's
didn't vote
22nd.
until January.
Okay. Line 30, it says Chair Nichols. I'm looking, well, maybe I'm looking at the wrong one.
Yeah, I think you're looking at the 22nd.
You're looking at the meeting.
We didn't change positions until
Okay,
January.
January 22nd, I'm sorry.
That's all right.
Commissioner Nichols, what page are you talking about? Page 7?
Page 9.
Yeah, different page, same document, different.
Oh, okay.
I was talking 10.
It's actually page 10.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, page 10.
Page 10, line 30.
Line 30.
Okay, thank you.
It says Chair Nichols, right? Yeah.
But that's on the 22nd.
All right. December 11th. Any takers?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes of December 11th, 2025.
Or
With the change,
Motion,
Revised.
with revision.
not December 11th. There's
Not
no
December
revisions
11th.
to December
There's no
11th.
revision to December 11th.
It's all cheated.
yeah,
Okay, thank you.
next one.
Motion made by Commissioner Kreitzer, supported by, was that Bub?
Yeah.
Commissioner Sherwood. All in favor of supporting or approving the December 11th meeting minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. Moving on to January 22nd, we have a couple of corrections. Did you get those, Casey? Yes. Okay. Been looking for a motion on that one.
I move we approve the amended minutes from January 22nd.
Support?
Motion made by Commissioner Weintraub, supported by Commissioner Nichols. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
We're now going to move on to citizen comment. A citizen may state their name and address and may speak only one time for no more than 3 minutes. This time may not be given to another citizen to extend their time. The person speaking has the floor, and no other citizen shall speak during someone else's time. During this time, you will be making statements to the board without discussion from the board members, but you are welcome to make an appointment with planning and zoning staff to discuss your comments further. Please keep comments clean and respectful.
Press the red button in front.
Okay, there we go. Tammy Keeler, Salary Street. I don't know what you guys are thinking. You got the battery storage in here. Now you want to put an A&I in here? How many people do you think are going to move out of Comstock because of this? I was reading a thing about, I think it was down in Virginia or something, where the whole town moved out because nobody told them about this. They didn't have no vote on it. There's only like 2 families that are going to stay there. The other people, I mean, they're gone because this thing's going in. We do not want it, like we didn't want the battery plant. You guys move forward with this, you guys are going to lose money up the butt because you think people are going to stay here and have their water wells contaminated, having no nature or anything. That's going to use up all the water. It's going to get into the well system. Why don't you guys listen to the residents once in a while, some of you? Don't think about what's going in your pockets, because this is going to ruin Comstock. I'm telling you right now, people are selling their houses. I saw 20 up for sale on Zillow on 28th Street. 20. Because of this. This is going to bring the values down, and the taxpayers are still going to have to pay for this. The electric bills are going to go up higher, more than what they are now. Start listening to us. We do not need this stuff in our township. Because you guys, you know, I'm not trying to say that you have a vote on it, because I know the state can take it over if they want to. You guys put stimulations on this battery plant. Guess what? The guy at the golf course has no interest in selling that golf course now because so many people are coming down on him hard. So stop and think about this, people. Think about your residents. And this is the same thing I'm going to tell them on Monday. Start thinking about us. You guys want a town to survive and thrive? It's not going to with that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tim Kearney, live at 9411 Miller Drive. Just want to get my face in front of you because I think I'm going to be working with you guys here closely. I'm the owner of the property here that was presented to you guys for the river development project or whatever. We own the parcel there. So bringing forward, I don't know if you all know, I've filed a formal complaint with some wrongdoings with the DDA and the zoning assistant. And so that being said, it's too long for me to read. I'd just like to hand some packets out to you to just kind of show you some scenes of what we're trying to do.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You. Piece of usually. So in short, we run into a few snags just trying to get through some of the works that we're trying to upgrade and redo. We hold an LLC. We're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and we're working with the state of Michigan and Kalamazoo County with the foster care system. Our hearts are deep, and we've been foster parents for quite a long time, and we see the need for Kalamazoo County. We have buy-in and contract commitments. We're looking to put, at least a $1.5 million parcel together to do some help for the kids in that area. Our first venue was to try to get some people on board that were going to participate with us as we move forward. We've done that. We've put 3 new storefronts in that building. The next steps that we were trying to get a food truck vendor, a permanent food truck vendor on board. I've had several meetings with the township superintendent regarding my complaints. We've moved forward with, we'll be filing a formal complaint in public on Monday, and then again on Wednesday in front of the DDA. Our understanding was that there was a permit that you guys had already approved a permit for a permanent food truck. We're running into that since I filed this complaint, now that I have to come up with complete drawing sets like a King Scott printout to show where this truck's going to go. It's an 8x10 truck. I provided prints. I've done all the work needed. I'm ready to move forward and pay the money to have that permit pursued. After a meeting with the superintendent, I was told that there's no such thing and that we only have a 7-day food truck ordinance. Moving forward, I'm going to have, we're a business service establishment that we're trying to put in there, and we've been told that, no, you're a daycare center. So we're going to have to see if we can try to get some text amendments done, and we've been struggling through that process, just being deflected ever since we came forward with a formal complaint.
Thank you. All right, if there is no further citizen comment, we'll move on to new business. And the first item on the agenda is 276 Sparks Site Plan Review. Casey, you want to take us through that?
Yes, absolutely. We have received an application located at 276 Sparks by David Bosma. The applicant is requesting a site plan review for a proposed 6,430 square foot accessory structure with a parking lot expansion of 7 spaces. We'll go over the site and what is currently there. The site is zoned light manufacturing, and currently there's a plumbing and mechanical and contractor in the facility. To the south, north, east, and west, there's light manufacturing as well. It is about a 1.5 acre parcel with about 150 feet of frontage to the east along Sparks. The site is in compliance with the zoning ordinance, use permitted, and for the master plan, the use is designated as general industrial. There's a brief staff report. The applicant is again requesting site plan review for the accessory structure and the parking lot expansion. The existing building is served with water and sewer, but there is no intention to have the new building tie into that existing infrastructure, as it'll be used for storage with no intent of restrooms or drains. Stormwater plans were sent over to our engineer. I believe his report is in here as well. If not, he gave his gold stamp of approval. They will accommodate the retention pond to meet the site improvements. There's a little quick math here. Basically, they are exceeding the zoning standards for parking, and they've also submitted a lighting plan, which meets all the standards as well, along with landscaping plans. As this is not a new site, we don't need to worry about the typical full site plan review. Of course we do, but there's not really, it's not a vacant lot. We need to worry about everything. They already have some improvements there, so they're just bumping it up a little bit to meet the requirements for the new structure and expansion.
Thank you, Casey.
Yes.
Any discussion?
Just a quick question for you, Casey. Who prepared this overview? Did you?
I did, yes.
Did. Okay, thank you.
It is slightly different than Kyle's, if that's what you noticed. And then there are 9 zoning standards for the site plan review. I don't know, Madam Chair, if you want to go through bit by bit with the Planning Commission or provide an overview, or how you would like to proceed with that.
I think an overview is fine. We got the packet.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, for all 9 standards, they meet them all or exceed, as I mentioned with the which one were they exceeding in? Exceeding in the parking standards. Yeah, no major concerns. They'll meet the setback requirements. Yeah, there were no issues we ran into when working with the applicant. The applicant is here as well, if there are any questions for him.
Would anyone like to hear from the applicant or anything? Do you have any questions?
I don't have any questions. I would just like to comment that a submission like this is really a pleasure to see a complete plan that simplifies our review and approval. So we appreciate that.
Bob?
Yeah, it was well put together. I know the building well. Jill Clune owned it originally. It's a nice building. Parking lot's in good shape, the asphalt and everything. So, yeah, and this helped tremendously, but it's a nice site. It really is. It's been well taken care of.
Larry?
I think it fits in good with what we want to do.
Greg, anything? Nothing. Jimmy?
I thought it was well put together, a lot of information. I'm looking forward.
Sandy?
I did drive out there, and so, yeah, I'm good. I have no questions. Thank you.
Same, I reviewed. I thought this was really thorough, and there's no questions of them meeting the criteria. So if there's no further discussion, we will move forward with a vote. Or a motion, rather. Looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the site plan review for 276 Sparks.
I'll second.
Motion made by Treasurer Bloomfield, seconded,
That's okay. I just want to add something after.
sure, seconded by Commissioner Nichols.
So what I would say is, I would ask you to amend the motion.
Okay.
To make your motion based upon the factual findings from the review of the ordinance standards.
Okay, I'd like to amend my motion to, what's so funny? To include the factual findings, which were the 9, which all met the ordinance. This is for 276 Sparks.
There's support?
Support?
Okay. So motion made to support the site plan review based on a successful meeting of all 9 of the findings of fact. Is that, summarize that for you? Is that okay? Okay. All right. Do we need to do a roll call vote for this?
Roll call. Okay. Commissioner Nichols?
Yes.
Commissioner Sherwood?
Yes.
Commissioner Nowak?
Yes.
Commissioner Weintraub?
Yes.
Chair Lawrence?
Yes.
Commissioner Kreitzer?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Motion passes 7 yeas, 0 nays.
All right. Moving on, we have the Charter, Comstock, Planning Commission, and Zoning Board of Appeals 2025 Annual Report. Casey, do you want to, by no means do you need to read all of that to us, but any summaries or highlights you'd like to pull out?
Yes, overall, we were very busy last year, as you all remember. We had, I think it was 29 meetings, which is quite a lot compared to the ZBA, who had, I believe, 5. So yeah, overall, the Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals annual report is required by, I believe, the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act. So you will get this every year, along with also a zoning map update, which will hopefully be ready by next meeting or the March meeting. But yeah, no, showing that we have a few new board members who were reappointed and will be with us for the next 4 years or 3 years, so what the term is. Quite a few rezonings. But yeah, no, we did a lot of trainings as well. That was a highlight of last year. Hopefully this year we'll have lighter trainings, but again, that October conference is always an option.
Excellent. Any discussion on the report?
I felt that it was well prepared. I want to give you a compliment. And it was detailed out, and it was great to go back and see how we did things back and forth and made progress as a planning commission for the township. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Joseph?
I just had a question. Chick-fil-A was one of the first things listed there, and In my recollection, their plan said that there would be no indoor seating. Isn't that right?
Ooh, I don't remember that.
No.
No, that was 7 Brew Coffee.
Coffee right next to it.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other discussion? I had a question, Casey, on the administrative review items. There's 2 there.
Yes.
And I guess my question is, just for my own information, like what criteria is used to determine if something can be administrative review versus come through the commission?
Okay, so it has to be an accessory structure. So Rock Electric has a already existing structure that is quite large, and this 9,000 square foot was less than 50% of the existing structure. So that is one of the biggest items. Has to be accessory and has to be, can't be an accessory structure larger than their existing structure. Another thing is we cannot review parking lot expansions, so those will always come to the Planning Commission.
And when we go through that, like, what is required for an administrative review? So does the engineer still look at that? Like, what's the background of what's happening in the office so that we can have assurances that those things are all under the same scrutiny as something that would come through the commission?
Yeah, so it's still engineering and fire review, just like a site plan review. Typically, for example, let's say this is like a pole barn for a home. They're usually only used for storage. I don't believe Rock Electric was going to have offices in there, or maybe just a few. So it's not as intensive as what you all would need to see. So yeah, it's just a simple checkup of landscaping. It's way less intensive usually because it's just accessory structure. You may have to add 1 or 2 trees. So it is entirely dependent upon staff reviewing properly. But then we also have the balancing check from fire and engineering.
Okay, yeah, my concern is, especially associated with that structure, is water.
Yes.
Because that's a large structure. So I just wanted to make sure all those things are evaluated. All right. I know before we'd had some conversation about if there was a way, I know Jimmy had brought up, like, is there a way for us to see or get some reporting on that? Is that something that could go into like an informational portion of our packet, like not something to discuss, but just, hey, this is happening?
Yeah, so we do have the informational future action items portion of our agenda. So from now on, thanks to Kreitzer's request, I will now just be plugging them in there.
Perfect.
We don't get them very often. There were just 2 last year. I'm working on 1 now, and I know 1 will come in next month. So it won't be a steady item, but when they come up, I will put them on there.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I would like to expand on that a little bit. First of all, a question for you. Those conditions, are those codified somewhere? I mean, is there
The 9 standards?
strict procedures for when it's administratively?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Is that in the ordinance?
Yes,
or-
it is.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Thank
know
you.
section number, maybe like 6.1, somewhere around there.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to request or have us decide if we could have a permanent place in the agenda for an administrative report where you could kind of keep us up to date on people that come in and make requests, whether and how you deal with them.
Okay.
So we have a little more transparency on what your procedures are and what goes through you, and possibly could we, at least on an annual basis, maintain like a spreadsheet of how projects progress? You know, they go through approval. Do they get a building permit? Do they not get a building permit? Are there outstanding conditions that prevent them from getting occupancy permits?
Okay.
Would it be possible to do that?
Yeah, so when you request for admin up to date, does that mean everything from sign permits to shed permits, or are we talking just the larger scale projects?
Projects that come before us or that involve site plan review?
Okay, yeah.
Not sign permits or fence permits or those sorts of things?
Yeah, I would say one of the issues I think of, a lot of people like confidentiality until it's in an agenda. It's usually not public information until the agenda's been released. A lot of commercial businesses like Chick-fil-A, they were in the works for a year or so. They did not want their name out until the agenda came out, so I don't know.
No, I wasn't proposing details on the agenda, just a place in the agenda for an administrative report.
Okay. Yeah, we'll work through that to see exactly what that would contain, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it wouldn't need to hit with a name until it would be either, coming before the commission, or perhaps you're in a place of saying like, hey, this has been approved, right? So like it's in action maybe?
Yeah.
I don't know that's my thought. I don't know if that would satisfy Joseph, because it sounds to me like what you also want to understand is the continuation of the project, not just,
Yes, I do.
the initial part.
Yeah, again, for our edification and for our, transparency, so we understand what you face. I would like to be able to track projects to see, until they drop off. When a project is complete, then it can disappear. But we make zoning approvals that are, limited in time, and we don't know whether those projects are progressing or, again, if projects get completed but are, hung up in the final approval or certificate of occupancy procedures, I think it would be helpful for us if we knew that.
Yeah, that would also be, so yeah, I can definitely look into exactly how we would proceed with that. So it sounds like not like day-to-day tasks, just the bigger ones. I know that a lot of times we get approval, they go straight to CAVA, and that's in their hands. I don't work closely with CAVA. I give them permits and they keep it pushing.
Well, if someone makes an application to you, but it doesn't necessarily come before us, it would be helpful to see that, to know that it's out there and pending. If you, I don't want to make this burdensome for you. So, I mean, you can take a shot at it.
Yeah,
and,
I'll do my best.
See if that,
Yeah, absolutely. I can give it a try, and we'll see if we can keep that up continuously.
My concern with it was like that bowling alley project. We never knew that they had just abandoned the project until, we asked about it.
Yeah.
And perhaps even if there is some confidentiality, like, I don't know if you have to list the name, but you can say like a project is, if that's requested, maybe, take a stab, see what you think.
Gotcha.
And we can provide feedback if we're looking or thinking about something different, but would that satisfy?
yes.
And part of that is when a project comes, until there's a site plan application or special use application, it's just talk. So, I mean, how much information on this do we need to know until it comes to us with a special use or site plan? I mean,
This was a concern of mine before tonight, but I think this is a perfect example of this gentleman tonight. I have no idea what he's talking about. And here he is filing a complaint against our zoning administrator. And I would like to have had a heads up on that.
And I just want to say that we have an issue already with an administrative review that was done, not by you, Casey, but previously, where we have the gentleman who owns the property sitting there that he can't use it because it was done just administratively and it never came before the planning commission, and it all has to do with retention ponds. And he can't finish the project, and here he sits with a building that's useless because he doesn't have the money to finish it. And another thing we did discuss before some of you came to the board was when permits were pulled, there was a time put on them. Do you remember us talking about that, Casey, and when they expired, so we knew?
18 months.
18 months.
I'm saying it would be in the spreadsheet like Joe's talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, we all drive around this municipality, we see what goes on, and when we're driving and we see something, we think, ooh, well, that didn't come before us, what's going on there? I mean, well, it's true,
Sure.
You wonder what's happening if you're on the planning commission, you didn't see it come through, so. But you did a great job on this. This was really nice. I'd like to see it every 6 months. Thank you.
Do we need to vote on having Casey create something like that for us?
I mean, if you want to, but I think there's consensus of the planning commission. I think that we've heard consensus to, and she'll put something together and see how, see what you think of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I see this as a negotiated process with Casey. I mean, like I say, I don't want this to be burdensome, but if there's a way that you could make us more informed of what's pending or what's coming in.
What's in the pipeline?
Well, you know, when you have people come in and say, I want to build something here and here, and you tell them, well, you can't do that. I mean,
My biggest thing is, how it works for me right now is if there's no fee and no application, I don't bring it to you all. Because somebody could just come to me and say, somebody came and said they want to have a Beyonce stadium downtown. And I said, you can't do that in downtown. So I don't know if we should go, I don't know where the line would be. I get a million inquiries about everything and I don't know. And I say, you can't do it.
Respectfully, though, we added something for Mr. Watts to just get a feeler out, and there wasn't any application or anything at the table. So I do think, like, there may be a case where in some of those, to your point, like maybe something as that example of like a Beyonce stadium, like I think you can use your discretion a little bit here and say like, okay, this is not, but if it seems like a formidable project that would be coming, you know, I'd like to have some awareness.
yeah, and in several instances, you have told us, I've had numerous requests for this, or several developers have told me this. And that's the kind of information we would like to have. So some of it is at your discretion, maybe. I don't know how else to put it.
I don't know, I do relay that by saying I have heard from developers. I just don't know if I can hear from Mike Fisher and then write in a spreadsheet what Mike Fisher said. So I will work on this. I just don't know how far back I should go. I will need a few more guidelines. I'll probably work with the chair on this just to see exactly what that looks like. But I do still maintain that strict no dollar, no fee, no application, nothing, which you are correct. We talked about Matt Watts. So yeah, we could see how lenient we want to be, but I'm worried that leniency will open a bigger issue.
I think consistency is the most important. So if that's the policy we want to run with, then that's probably what we need to do to be consistent for everyone. But would love to work with you on it. We'll figure it out. Okay. All right, we don't need to approve that or anything, or do we?
Yeah, you should approve
Okay.
the annual report.
Before we move forward, I'd like to talk about the Looking Ahead 2026 work plan. I recall the planned unit developments as being first, as most important, the data centers, and then the landscaping and the master plan and the R1C. I thought as a board we had discussed not worrying about the vacant accessory structures because that was something that it just didn't seem as important or high priority. And if we are going to be working on the data centers, I'm going to think that that's going to take us as much time as the battery storage did. But with that being said, we also just did structures, accessory buildings. So, I mean, we should have, if that was the case, that should have been wrapped into with that when we did that ordinance. So to me, that just needs to be dropped off the look ahead or put at the bottom of the list. So
If it gives you any confidence, Treasurer Bloomfield, I'm going to have good oversight of the agenda since under the bylaws it's listed as my statutory duty. So I can help navigate where that falls in our agendas.
okay, thank you.
Because I agree, and I even reread the meeting minutes from the 22nd, and it did say in there that we had agreed it was something for lower on the list. All right.
So would you like a motion for that?
Yes, ma'am. Or whomever.
Go ahead, Jimmy.
I'll make a motion that we approve the Comstock Charter Planning Commission and Zoning Board of Appeals 2025 annual report.
Support.
Motion made to approve the Planning Commission Zoning Board of Appeals 2025 annual report by Commissioner Nichols, supported by Commissioner Kreitzer. All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes. Keep screwing it up. I need to call you Secretary Kreitzer.
Yeah.
All right, moving on to old business. We have the planned unit development with sample ordinances. So I think initially we just open it up for some discussion. We obviously have our planned unit development in here, and then we were provided, did I see Portage and South Haven, is that correct? Perfect. Joseph?
Great.
Jump on it?
Okay, I've sort of led the charge on this, and I would like to talk about it. I don't know how far in depth you want to go into it tonight, but I had an opportunity to review these three, and the apparent problem with our existing ordinance is that is too difficult to comply with and too complicated and too restrictive, and I agree. I felt that the Portage example was even worse. It tried to codify everything, which is just the opposite of what you want in a planned unit development. You want flexibility. I'm really leaning towards the South Haven City example. I'm sort of biased by it because I'm familiar with it, and I really feel it's a good fit for us as well. And if the chair would entertain that, I'd like to go through that one and kind of highlight some of the items that are in here and maybe talk about the spirit of a PUD.
Sure, I think go ahead and talk to us about what you like. And
Well, does anybody else have it? I mean, you've all had a chance to look at these, I think. Does anyone have any comments before I tear into this?
I agree with you, Joseph, about the others being very restrictive.
yeah, I think there was one line I highlighted in Portage that was better than ours, but that was
Okay.
it.
I'm anxious to hear that.
Yeah, so beyond that, I did find the South Haven one much easier to get through and read.
Yeah, it says here, alternative to conventional development and traditional zoning standards and permit flexibility in development. And that's the heart of it, flexibility. PUDs are intended to enhance the flexibility in building placement, height, bulk, other standards to achieve recognizable and commensurate benefit that furthers the township's goals and public interest. You know, that's Watt's project right there. Anyway, it's 1802 spells out the objective and qualifying conditions, encourage provisions of open spaces, cultural and historic resources, encourage developers to use more creative and imaginative approaches, promote flexibility in design, blah, blah, it goes on and on. I mean, that is the point. So, you know, I think all of that represents goals that we have. You know, we get hammered with affordable housing, you know, let's try small lots, let's try duplexes. All of that becomes possible here because as I get into it, fundamentally, the reason this is preferable from our point of view is it gives you total control. You are not getting you're not opening the door up and not knowing exactly what you're going to get. There's a two-step approval process built in here. Before you even consider the rezoning, you see a site plan. And the site plan spells out everything, building placement, open spaces, roadways, everything that you need to see. You get the complete concept. You can ask for elevations. You know, when we did the R1C debacle, Watts stood out there and held up a picture. This is what I'm going to build, you know. Well, you change the standards of the ordinance, you can build anything. It doesn't have to look like his picture. You rezone a piece of property, you have no idea what somebody's going to put on there. They can put on anything that the restrictions and standards allow. With a PUD, you know exactly what you're going to get. You're going to know where every light fixture and dumpster is going to be. There's a section in here on legacy PUDs. We would have to adopt something like that as well because we have 2 or 3 PUDs. So we would have to explain how changing the ordinance would affect them. I'm not sure how to do that. The attorney would have to work that part of it out. Permitted uses, you know, for some reason, our ordinance made multi-use planned unit developments separate from residential planned unit developments. And I see no purpose in that. This ordinance allows mixed use as a permitted use. I mean, again, you know exactly what you're going to get. You know how they're going to be integrated and placed so that you can consider those sorts of projects. And again, it's up to the discretion of the Planning Commission whether you like that idea or don't. And, you know, there are the same criteria that we have for, you know, all sorts of projects where it has to meet you know, it has to be compatible with the area. It has to not negatively affect surrounding properties. All the usual rezoning requirements are there. But PUDs, uses permitted by right or special use in the underlying zoning district, determined to be consistent with the master plan, a combination of uses that's compatible with existing and adjacent land uses and the master plan. I mean, that's what we want. You know, there's a lot, there's a discussion in here about density. How do you regulate density? And this one has a particular formula, which I'm not sure that we want to adopt that the way it is. That's something we should look at and customize for us. But it says that PUDs containing a residential component and located in a residential zoning district, the permitted density shall not exceed the permitted underlying zoning district unless a density bonus is permitted pursuant to section 5 below. Well, section 5 below, it's based on you know, open space or other amenities that would encourage you or permit you. But we could expand that, given the pressure that we have to allow, you know, smaller units, smaller lots, greater density. You know, we could acknowledge that within the PUD, but again, it's at the discretion of the Planning Commission. We have to like it. We have to be convinced by the developer that this is appropriate. Otherwise, we don't have to approve it. You know, it's what I love about this particular concept is that you know what you're going to get, and if you don't like it, they don't have a vested right. You can turn it down. It has to be compatible, it has to be acceptable, but it lets the developer be as experimental as he wants. You know, rather than change the standards for a whole zone, he comes in with a parcel of property and say, okay, I want to make 6,000 square foot lots. I want to build, you know, a building that's way too big for the lot. If he can sell us, if we can believe that that's beneficial and provides a need to the community, we can approve it, but it only applies to that property, and he can only build it exactly as he described it. Again,
That's how you maintain the control then,
Yes,
is you just don't approve it and he'll come back.
he has no vested right. There's no vested right, am I correct? There's no vested right in a PUD. He has to sell it. It has to convince us that it's a good idea, a good use for the community. Under this density bonus, again, we could acknowledge what they call affordable housing and stuff like that, and negotiate on density or lot size or all those things that we gave away with the R1C nonsense.
I think there's a real advantage to the density bonus because I think that's how you can incentivize a developer to want to use this.
Good job.
Correct. And so you can prioritize things that are important, you know, hey, there's got to be certain amenities, certain open space, whatever it is, whatever those things are, price point, you know, you've got to be able to keep it below a certain price point, things like that. And then with that comes the density bonus, which ultimately makes the cost of development lower too, because when you have more dense areas, the infrastructure that you have to put in is less expensive because you're not running lines as far, driveways as far, all of those things. So I think it could be a really positive thing. That was my favorite item in there, was the density bonus.
We get to judge whether it's appropriate for the parcel involved.
Correct.
There's a whole section in here on mixed-use PUDs, which, is definitely something that we should be open to. And right now, we don't have that ability in any zone in some zones permit mixed uses, but this gives you flexibility to put this wherever it's possible. It goes on to design standards. And again, because you have a complete site plan and this two-step approval process where they come in with an preliminary before they even know if they're in the ballpark, before they invest in a full, but you can enforce design standards so that it's appropriate for the neighborhood, the height of the building, the kinds of materials that are used. You can make that as detailed as you want to. And then it talks about the proposed deviations be consistent with the master plan, but again, the housing goals. You can make deviations from the normal requirements for landscaping or lot size and side yards and all parking requirements. If you're trying to meet these housing goals that, again, we keep hearing about. There's a whole section on open space because one of these things that PUDs often incorporate is some kind of cluster housing where the buildings are pushed closer together in order to create an open atmosphere or some natural areas and stuff. So again, that in a normal subplat division or a plat, you don't really have those options. But in a planned unit development, you do. You can cluster the buildings or rearrange them in a way that makes a more attractive campus.
And there's responsibility to maintain those open spaces. So that's the other piece is
And that is spelled out in here also, right? There's lots of safeguards built into this ordinance, the way it's written. Planning Commission shall review PUZs, hold public hearing and that sort of thing. There's actually, I believe, two public hearings held in this one. It goes on to, all of the reviews that are necessary, just like our normal procedures, the engineering, the road department, all of those things.
So if we like this, we should probably go through step by step and see what we like.
Absolutely.
Highlight items, have discussion.
Pull it out, mark it up.
Yeah.
See what we want to keep and not keep.
You've sold us on it, I'm pretty sure.
We also have, Casey, remind me, because I saw that email, what was that gentleman's name, Rob? Is that Midlink?
Yeah, Riddigan.
Okay, so there's someone in the community who who's passionate about MPUD,
Mixed use.
Yeah.
Mixed
And
use, yeah.
he has expressed an interest in coming and talking to us as well to kind of give us some information. I think that might be something that would be useful also. I agree with you, Joseph. I think the South Haven one is the one to build from. I would entertain other conversation, but I think if we wanted to do this, perhaps we could get that on an agenda for him to come talk to us as well, so that if there's additional things we want to consider, I'd like to, put our best foot forward on the first go.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure how to proceed. I think maybe if we all marked it up, and we certainly need input from Rob also.
Yeah, I would just say it's a nice ordinance, and certainly if you went through like you do, go piece by piece through it and see what you like. If you like it, If you don't like it, talk about whether you can revise it or something.
Right.
But I think it's a good base ordinance to work off of. It seems cleaner and clearer, and does have things like density bonus and other things that give more flexibility to the planning commission. It's a little different than what you have now for a PUD, because now if you do a PUD, one thing is, though, it just stays at the planning commission level. This PUD system goes both to planning commission and the township board, so it's more like getting plat approval in some ways, but it's knowing exactly what it's gonna look like, everything, before you rezone it to that PUD use. But because it's rezoning, that's a legislative function, so people really can't demand that you do the rezoning to a PUD. It'd be very difficult for them to try to do that.
Is there a draft date on this? I would assume it's pretty current, because it has some pretty
Yes.
new ideas.
The South Haven City Ordinance was rewritten in 73, or 23, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
So this one is fairly recent.
Yeah.
It's pretty nice.
Anyone else have discussion? So my thought would be that this, Casey, you and I were talking even about next week's agenda, like this be something that we kind of prioritize a work through on step by step. We can reach out, I can reach out to Rob and see if he has the ability to even come talk to us. And since this was kind of on our work list, if we want to get this, like this is our first and foremost to get through, maybe that takes priority on next week's agenda.
Yeah.
Sure.
Does that sound good? And it gives everyone some time to go back through these in detail and.
Sure. I would be excited by that. That would be great.
Okay.
We're going to stick with the South Haven one to discuss and go through. We can just pitch the Portage one, correct? Is everybody in agreement with that one?
I am, certainly.
Okay.
Bub, any opinion?
No, that's fine, we can discuss it. My only question is, if PUDs are so great, how come we've only ever had 2 in Comstock? We've only ever had 2 in Comstock in all the years that we've been servicing the community.
I think our ordinance is very restrictive comparatively, so I wonder if we.
But the 2 ones that were done were Weather Vane and Hunter's Run, which are elite places to live. So I'm just curious about, because now we're talking small houses, we're talking mixed houses, we're talking this and that. So
I think.
I don't understand the whole thing completely yet. So, but that's my thing. If they're so great, how come we've only ever had 2?
That's a fair question.
Well, I'm going to say because they were antiquated a little bit. People have figured out how to retain the control lately.
One of the things I noticed, because it's later on our conversation, but we had the update to the master plan in here as well. And there was a line that I highlighted in there talking about both in the vision statement and also just as it continued talking about the housing needs. And I thought this PUD is also a really great way for us to potentially address some of the things that are in the master plan in a way that provides to the point of the intention of it, the flexibility of where it goes so that we're not shoving population density all into one area, or we have use of different areas based on what this is.
This is really driven by the developers. This is an opportunity for the developer to come in and say, hey, I have an idea.
Casey, didn't you say that Matt Watts really wanted to do a PUD, but that ours was too restrictive?
Yeah, PUD would work better for him than text amending the whole R1C, but there was no benefit to doing it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So are we comfortable moving that on for our next agenda, and we'll kind of roll through this section by section? Great.
Yep.
We don't, no vote needed on that, Casey. All right. Moving on to landscaping with sample ordinances. open that one up for discussion. I know that in the past, we've had some conversation about, we feel like it's extensive, it's a burden on development, and we're concerned about some of the canopy trees in particular causing outages and such. So kick us off with that as something that's brought us to this point.
I'd like to hear what Casey hears from people that come into her office.
Yeah, it's usually just, as Amber or Chair Lawrence said, that it seems like a hassle, the amount of trees we require. But I looked at these ordinances, haven't combed through these 2 sample ones, so I don't know if we're exactly on par. But I think that might just be the vibe overall for developers. They don't want to put more streets in or put more trees, everything's costly. So I don't know if ours is really too stringent or if it's just they want to save their money. Sorry, that might be too blunt, but.
That's fair.
I was thinking like Casey. I think it's just a perception.
I didn't find significant differences between ours and the others.
Nope.
The only thing that I wondered, should we include that might help us from a power line standpoint, is if you look at our ordinance, section C, number 3, it says landscaping materials and structures shall be placed in a manner so as to not interfere with cross visibility, public safety, or the safe movement of vehicles and pedestrians. I wondered if there should be some acknowledgement of like power line there. So like, do you put in there that, you know, that piece? I don't know if that satisfies our concern with power line. And then the other items, there was a couple that I particularly liked about screening of rubbish and things like that I thought were great, and they should stay as is. So the other question would just be, do you lessen the amount of canopy trees? That seemed to be the concern. Do you lower the height requirement or something like that?
Would there be some way to put some wiggle room in, to be able to make a judgment on a case-by-case basis rather than just setting a blanket, again, maybe an incentive or a way for the developer to, I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to accomplish. It'd be nice if we had some, on a case-by-case basis, to be able to reduce the requirement for some of the, like they say, canopy trees or additional screening or landscaping where it's not appropriate.
I mean, you could have some form of combination or, again, an incentive bonus for understory tree or shrubs equals less 1 canopy tree.
We do add in, we do allow them to, like when they're building on a piece of property, if they're going to leave trees there, we count that as part of it.
They get a credit for it.
What if we made it a bonus credit? So like that tree, instead of being a 1-for-1, I don't know if it's a 1-for-1, Casey, you could, okay, so like maybe it's a 1-for-2 because it's already existing tree. If they work around,
And it's
if it's
mature.
Yeah, it's mature, it's in good condition. We already know kind of where it's at, what it's looking like. So if you keep that one, it's worth 2 trees for you.
But your canopy tree is going to be the specimen, so that's going to be the most beautiful looking object in the landscaping, most likely. So we would probably not want to eliminate all of that and
Right.
not have, you know, a bunch of ratty shrubs that
True.
people aren't going to take care of. So we should take that into consideration also.
I would reference to, if you look at the Kalamazoo Township Ordinance, it's on page 86 of our packet. It does have a section on potential damages to utilities, and then minimum distance from center of trunk to nearest overhead utility line. So they actually have some special provisions for interference with utilities, whether it be overhead utilities, underground utilities. So, I mean, that might be something that you want to consider adding to your provisions. And then, as you talk about, there are ways to build in waiver provisions that would allow the planning commission, under certain circumstances, to waive requirements. And that might be something that you'd want to look at too.
Is that just a line that puts in here that allows?
It'd be like a paragraph.
Yeah, that essentially allows us, based on, compelling need or compelling reason, to
waive. I normally see that with screening requirements, that you can waive certain screening requirements under certain conditions.
Well, and that's what we did at McAllister. We didn't plant anything along the building on the south side because the fence is there next to the railroad tracks, and you couldn't get a fire truck through there if you put any kind of shrub in there. So, I mean, that's a safety hazard, so we allowed them not to do it. And Scott asked me why they didn't have them, so I told him before they gave them their occupancy permit. But, I mean, you got to use common sense on some of that stuff.
I did have one thing I noticed, and somebody can tell me the minimums, I know a few of you have done concrete work. So for a parking lot, it says the minimum size of any internal landscaped area should be 300 square feet with a minimum width of 15 feet. That's in our ordinance. And in the City of Kalamazoo ordinance, their landscape area shall be a minimum of 5 feet in width in a parking lot. I wondered if that would be advantageous to reduce our requirement to a minimum of 5. It gives you a little bit more flexibility, and probably, I got to imagine, pouring concrete, the more you have uninterrupted space, the less costly and problematic that is.
The 15 seems excessive.
Yeah, well, it's, Rooster Call was gonna go up on G Avenue, and the reason they didn't was because the landscaping costs were so much. And then in the islands, then they were told that they had to put sprinklers in the islands to water the trees and stuff. And it's like, no, we can't put $200,000 in landscaping trying to build a $1 million building, so.
So that was one thing I would be in favor for sure of changing. I like the idea of tying in that utility note that was made. And I also would be in favor of some sort of discretionary waiver situation that we could allow for some flexibility. I think that's
all right. I would say, I was just looking through your ordinance a little bit more. I think you do have that, if you look at page 72, P2 in there, you do have a provision for exceptions. And it looks like under that provision, there's provisions for physical hardship exists or existing topography and vegetation. I mean, you could add something else like public safety in there too. Like you raised the issue, you couldn't get a fire truck back there or something.
right.
So, maybe you add public safety to that list of things.
If the problem or the concern with the canopy trees is power lines, could we address that and say that in the case where power lines are present, they should, maintain vegetation that is, only 30 feet tall or whatever, something that's below the power line, so we don't encourage that?
Non-encumbering, yeah.
I don't know, I just throw that out there as a possibility.
Well, it's not just the power lines either, it's the structures of the building, depending on the size of the land where you have to put that canopy tree, because it can go one way and hit a power line, or it can go the other way and hit a building.
Sure.
And utilities underground should be thought about as well. I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah, well,
That's where the Kalamazoo, the Township of Kalamazoo item, it says, in no case shall landscaping material be planted in a way that will interfere with or cause damage to underground utility lines, public roads, or other public facilities. So it specifies underground, trees shall be set back from overhead utility lines as indicated in the following chart. And then they have a nice little chart here.
I personally like that.
I do too. Is there consensus on adding something like that?
Yeah.
yes.
Casey, as we kind of work through this, what's the easiest way for us here? Is it to kind of give you an idea of things that we would like to see, and then we can get a draft?
I think we're creating an outline as we're discussing this, I would say.
I just want to make sure we're getting her what she needs, and that we don't need to necessarily vote on each one of these items, but rather maybe get a rough draft together and go from there.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what we did for chicken accessory structures. We had hot items that we wanted to target, or we found certain pieces that we wanted to change. So just as we work through this, we can say like page number that we're finding things that we should change. That'd be helpful for me. And then Chair Lawrence, as you mentioned, tree credit, I was incorrect. It's not 1-to-1. There is a, based on diameter, in the inches of diameter. That's how we credit trees on page 71 of our packet.
That's right, I saw that. Okay, so I think we're all interested on zoning ordinance of Charter Township of Kalamazoo. It's page 86 of our packet, page 5-6 of theirs, letter I. How about the parking lot minimum width? Moving from that 15 feet down to the 5 feet. Thoughts on that?
This is a parking lot island
Yes.
of vegetation?
Correct.
I mean, 15 seems excessive.
But then, along with that, they have planting instructions. If you decrease your minimum of 15 feet, then we'd probably have to go through landscaping median instructions. That's underneath your I. Look at J.
No, I'm back on our ordinance.
Yeah, well, yes, but if we, because J talks, because Kalamazoo's is what, a 5-foot minimum?
Right.
So
Seems like-
J discusses what you can plant, how far away from the curb, in the median, what vegetation should go in it. Because you won't be able to plant a larger item in a smaller median.
I don't think they should have larger items in them islands anyway, because you like to see what's coming at you in the parking lot.
Yeah, this isn't the one that I pulled the 5 foot from,
Ah, okay.
Okay.
because I think Casey gave us 2. I'm trying to find it now. It was the city of Kalamazoo that had the 5 foot, not the township.
Gotcha.
And I think another thing, by reducing the islands in the parking lot, sometimes these places are limited for the number of parking spots they need, and that would change what they would be allowed as far as parking spots if you're reducing the island sizes.
The Kalamazoo, city of Kalamazoo is page 77 of our packet, C1A. is where I
We
pulled that.
require a certain number of spaces per square foot.
Yeah. That's why I say if you got a lot of island space, you may not get those.
It would give you flexibility to not have to, potentially not have to put down as much concrete is what I think. Because let's think about if you were to remove said building and structure and try to bring the land back, the less concrete, those islands aren't helping you bring land back. You know what I mean? So having less square footage of asphalt down ultimately preserves more land. So if we don't need as many islands in the middle, I don't know.
You know, up at East Town Mall, before it was Menards and whatnot, they had the islands, but they put great big boulders in them for landscaping. You know how many cars we pulled off them boulders over the years because someone made a sharp turn or, yeah, I don't think those are good ideas either.
I was just trying to think about how to make it more flexible. If it's not I'm not hung up on it.
I think we should reduce it.
Yeah, I think we could
We got
reduce it.
15 with ours, 10 with the city of Kalamazoo, with Kalamazoo Township, and 5 with the city of Kalamazoo.
Yeah.
So we gotta come up with one of those or a happy
A
medium.
happy medium.
Happy meeting.
Yeah, well, most of your parking lots are 10-foot wide between the stripes. So if you took a 15-foot and put a 5-foot medium in there, you gain 1 parking spot along that medium, depending on how long it is.
Correct.
So, and that helps sometimes, you know, well, like when they put Menards in there, they almost didn't do it because there were 76 parking spots too short.
So 10 would do that for us if we did it to 10
10-foot wide
instead of
would be
15?
1 parking spot width, depending on the length.
I think 10 is a reasonable compromise.
Consensus on that? Feel good?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you want to add anything on the back that Attorney Thaw pointed out for the exceptions, reduction and substitution of planning P2? Do you want to add anything there that includes like safety or that gives us a little bit of discretion to allow for an exception? Our page packet is 72.
72.
P2,
Correct.
I think we should review, if it ever comes up to it, we should review it and take it in consideration. That's what I feel.
So maybe adding the notation of safety and then it comes to us. Yeah.
Right.
Just gives us some flexibility to say,
Safety,
yeah, that makes sense.
utility cognizance, yeah. Exceptions, yeah.
Anything else that anyone wants to see or that's on your radar about this?
My biggest concern is just the big trees, because however tall the tree is going to be the width of the root system. So you have to take that into consideration.
Yeah.
Are we comfortable sending that to Casey to see a draft and moving forward this evening?
I think so.
Wonderful. Okay. Now up is continued data center discussion. I guess I'll kick us off with a reminder that, in our last meeting, we brought this up because our concern was somebody coming in here with one and us being in the same boat as Bess and not being prepared for it and wanting to make sure that we protect the township and have some say in some things before anything gets put in front of us and we are obligated to approve it.
But with data centers, we're not obligated by
Correct.
the state, so we
Correct.
could say no if it doesn't meet what we want to do.
Yeah, so you have to be careful in how you address that. So I just did a presentation on data centers to maybe over 300 people yesterday, and I talked about it. And it is about being prepared for it because, Saline Township got sued for exclusionary zoning, and now they have a huge data center going in there.
Huge.
Yeah, it's a few hundred acres.
Wow.
$7 billion facility, uses it uses 1,400 megawatts of energy. And just for reference, 800,000 homes use 1,000 megawatts. This uses 1,400 megawatts. So it uses more than 800,000 homes would use for energy. So, those are real issues, and those are real land hogs, energy hogs, and things that you need to consider. They got caught kind of without provisions for it. And got sued, and they ended up settling their case rather than potentially facing huge damages, and ended up with a facility there.
Did you happen to get a chance to look at our ordinances to see if they could stick one in?
So I did look at, so I looked at the LM and LD that you have in your ordinance packet. And so, it doesn't have to say data center. Your ordinance doesn't say everything. It says warehouses. Fully enclosed.
And that's what they
have. And that's really what it is. And it would fall under that LD restricted industrial district, I believe, as you have it. Now, realistically, there's different size data centers. So really what we're seeing now are these hyperscale, they call them, the size of, a few hundred acres. They're looking to locate in townships because that's where the land's available, and then there's lower taxes in those areas. So it's just where they're gonna target. So, and they also have to target areas that have high-speed internet, have power availability, so it's gonna be typically around urban areas, but more in a rural environment. So they're gonna go after ag land for that. Now, in our ag zone, we wouldn't allow for that, but again, there's provisions in the Zoning Enabling Act that says you can't be exclusionary in your zoning. So if there's a demonstrated need for it, which both by executive order by President Trump saying he has all sorts of things I have in that presentation about making AI a priority and loosening regulations in the country and developing more AI. You have Governor Whitmer and the state who put in tax exemption for data centers if they are large enough and qualify with enough employees and things of that sort. So we have both the state government, federal government, basically saying we have a demonstrated need for these data centers for cloud computing, for artificial intelligence. And so that makes it more difficult for us from an exclusionary zoning standpoint, because we can exclude uses unless there's a demonstrated need for it. If there's a demonstrated need for it, then it's on us to say that there's no proper location in our township for that use. So that's kind of where we would be put. So say they want to put it in an ag zone and we say no, they'd say, okay, well, you're excluding us. Maybe they could say we could say, oh, it's allowed in the LD district, but I mean, how many acres do we have in the LD district? Not that many. You're not going to be able to put one of these large scale things. So they'd say, oh, you're excluding our use. So that's why I think it's really important to go through it. And it's not a process to necessarily allow it, but it's to go through a process to learn about it. It's kind of like you do with battery, learn about it. But when you get down to the end of that process, if you want to say then, we don't think there's any land available in our township where you could put a couple 100-acre. You've done your homework. So if you get challenged, you've gone through that process, you've determined at the end of that process that we have no available land for that type of use, then you're going to be protected for a claim of exclusionary zoning, not be stuck like Saline Township got stuck.
Should we go into a moratorium to protect ourselves?
Yeah, I truly believe we should. And people should understand, it's not to say we're really trying to protect ourselves from the use rather than.
To be prepared.
Yeah, to be prepared, to do our homework. So if we're challenged, we are able to defend our position. Yeah. So, yeah, my recommendation would be to do a moratorium, similar to the Planning Commission would do a moratorium, and the Township Board would also do a moratorium on it. And then, you put it in for like 6 months. In our meetings, we'd have, maybe I could do like the presentation I did for the Michigan Township Association. We could have other experts in, Dr. Sarah Mills, somebody like that come in and address the board about it, and then, start looking at your township and how, your master plan and how your land is used. And, I think it's wholly inappropriate, to put heavy industrial use, which it really kind of comes down to, in ag land. I mean, I know that's where the land's available, where they want to put it, but it really, is it compatible? We need to study that and study our township. It might be fine in another place, but, is it fine here? And that's what we have to create a record so that we can defend ourselves if they do ever target your township, which, there's fiber lines, there's water, there is plenty of
There's
energy.
plenty of compelling reasons.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons to come in an area around Kalamazoo, but outside of Kalamazoo.
If we, sorry, Joseph, quick question for you. If we go into a more, so we can vote to go into a moratorium on it, and then it would get recommended to go to the board for a moratorium?
Yeah, so you'd have to do it like you did with the battery. You have to have a public hearing on it to go into a moratorium on it, but.
You do?
Unless, and this is one thing I don't know, is if in your last moratorium ordinance, if you revised your ordinance at all, because you can revise your zoning ordinance to allow the planning commission to just recommend like a moratorium. But without that, the only way that you can go into a moratorium and say, we're not going to consider applications or building permits, things like that, is we're suspending our ordinance in that regard. We have to do it by ordinance. Okay. So that requires public hearing and a recommendation to the board for a zoning amendment to put it in a moratorium, and then the township board doing a police power ordinance themselves to put it in a moratorium. Then you're completely covered by doing that. Now, I just don't know I'd have to go back and look at your last moratorium ordinance that you did and see if it actually revised your ordinance in any way to allow you to do it in a simpler manner.
Yeah, I know it was placed as an emergency police power ordinance. I don't know if that
You can
was
do,
why it was quicker.
yeah, at the township board level, you can do an emergency ordinance, which can be adopted at the same meeting that it is. So, the township board may act earlier and do a moratorium, and then it's got to go through the process here, which will take a little longer to do. But I do highly suggest that, we enter into that and actually do our homework, and you see what you come out with at the end.
Are you recommending a joint moratorium like we did last time?
No, I would say just the planning commission to handle that in your meetings. I think, it's something that you can handle yourselves as a planning commission. I don't think you need to set up a different moratorium committee or anything like that.
My concern on 6 months is we're heading into summer, and I worry about development plans and stuff that are going to come before us. Is it unreasonable to place a moratorium for longer than 6 months so we have the time to do the homework?
Yeah, no, I think you could go longer. As long as it's not a sham, you're actually doing the homework, you're going to be fine if you take longer to do it. But, some places might just do a moratorium just to say, hey, we're not allowing it. And if they're not doing their homework on it, that could get set aside in court too.
I'm in favor for a little bit longer. I mean, we scheduled quite a few meetings in the other moratorium, which I have no problem doing.
And
Right.
that one was a year, was it? Or
Yes.
So maybe we
Was 1 year.
do a year on it, something.
Right.
9 months or so.
Or, yeah.
The end of the calendar year even would
Yeah.
give us some time to get through.
Yeah, I'd like to be real prepared for it.
I mean, we had some good people come in and speak with us, so we definitely need to get, like what you did yesterday.
Right.
Let's get some other people involved and we can get educated first.
Informed.
I'm sorry I missed your presentation. I had tried to find it and I wasn't successful. I did attend the MAPA did a 2-hour presentation on data centers, and the very first slide talked about establishing a moratorium. Very first slide recommended that if you're unprepared. And the last moratorium for the best was a year, and I think that's what we should ask for is a year.
So what steps can we take tonight, if any?
I think tonight, I would look for a motion to move forward with a one-year moratorium and direct the attorney to prepare the documentation for that.
I make a motion that we move forward with a moratorium, whatever it takes to get into a moratorium
Support.
For how long?
for 1 year.
We have a motion from Commissioner Nichols, supported from Commissioner Weintraub. Any discussion, or are we comfortable moving to a voice vote? Roll call vote, please.
Yep. Commissioner Nichols?
Yes.
Commissioner Sherwood?
Yeah.
Commissioner Nowak?
Yes.
Commissioner Weintraub?
Yes.
Chair Lawrence?
Yes.
Commissioner Kreitzer?
Yes.
Treasurer Bloomfield?
Yes.
Motion passes 7 yeas, 0 nays.
All right. We're moving right along through these things. So I believe we're at master plan discussion. This one is likely going to take longer than, this is probably similar to PUD in the sense of this is a longer conversation that I don't anticipate we roll through tonight.
So I'll start some conversation with this. I think with the best moratorium we did, we went through ordinance step by step by step, letter and number. I think it would be a great, we can highlight what we like and we'll just tackle what we find as a group to be the most important issues. Let's have discussion on those and then go to the smaller issues. And we can take a year or 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's due for a review again in
Sure is.
27, right? So any work we do now is beneficial for ourselves in going forward with that, I would imagine.
Yeah, so you have to review your master plan at least every 5 years. So that would be by, August of 2028, you'd have to review it. And so, that is, you can start the process, you could just take a look at it, because there's formalities that we have to do. If we want to really get in and we know we want to change stuff, then we should do a notice of intent to plan, and that gets noticed out to all our neighboring municipalities and just lets them know, hey, we're opening our master plan and we're starting to take a look at it. And that's, that's kind of the first step of it. I don't know if you're there or if you want to just start, going through it. There's nothing that stops you from going through it and seeing, hey, do we want to do the X, Y, or Z without determining necessarily the scope of it and that you are going to open the planning process. Like if you go through it, you might say it's good, or you might say, oh, there's this item, this item, this item. Let's actually, do we need to bring in a planner to work with us on that? Or are we feel comfortable dealing with it ourselves? Because the township also needs to know that aspect of it. Because when you get into the planning process, it can get expensive if you have to bring in a planner. I don't know if when this was first done, whether this is an amendment, or whether it's an original plan. But original plans are expensive.
It was an amendment.
So if that's, so I would say, yeah, take your time to go through it. You have plenty of time.
Yep.
Take your time to go through it, see if there's things that you still like about it, to see if you just think, oh, we need to start from square one with a new plan. All those things are different steps that will be involved. But once you get an idea of what you want to do, then you probably want to do a notice of intent to plan and then really grind into it the things that you're looking at changing.
I think it's going to take us a while probably to develop an outline. I totally agree what you we need this outline to figure out if there are changes that need to be done and see what's important, less important, and non-essential.
And I agree with that, because even the amendment we did in 2023 took a long time and a lot of work, and we're running out of land too, so I think we just need to take our time, look at what and get ideas and.
Yeah, I think we need to do I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, rather than reinvent the whole wheel and start over, because that.
Yeah, I think we need to start with a review and determine where we want to concentrate our efforts.
Right.
And how far we want to go, if in fact we want to go ahead and try to redo the whole thing.
So a thought is, do we plan to revisit this conversation either, our end of March meeting or perhaps even our first in April, giving us some time to do our homework, to review this, start to go through it, and then we can come back and kind of talk through it a little bit more in depth at that point and decide, is this something we need to say? We have we want to publish a notice for plan. Like, can we all, because I think keeping it on our agenda every single week, we're going to just spin our wheels. I think there's an advantage to taking a little bit of time to review it and then coming back to it.
I feel that we should review it every quarter like that. Every 3 months, we should review this and do some legwork, get some updates, and review the next quarter.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but we definitely need some workshop time as a group set aside as a dedicated time in meeting.
We could preserve a meeting, like that's my thought, is to kind of buffer out an agenda as long as there's nothing that's immediately pressing, for one of those 2 meetings, we could buffer that out and sort of dedicate that to this and not go into some of the other things we're working on at that time.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think we need to, because this takes a lot of reading, a lot of studying and whatnot. I think we all ought to take our time, read it, study it, and start the first meeting in April, like you said. Because there's probably gonna be a lot going on in March.
March is almost here.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I might propose that we each, go through this and just make a shopping list of things that we would like to see addressed. And
then condense it even more.
right, then have a meeting where we pool those together and prioritize them and then work through that list.
Perfect.
I do have a question, Madam Chair, for Attorney Thal. This is our review or update that they did to the 2016 master plan. Do they need to revisit the old full master plan, or is this update sufficient?
I would think the update the complete plan. I would think that it probably is just the updated plan, so that should be the complete. I think, obviously we want to verify that, but that should be the whole master plan. If it's not, then we need to look at any other
Casey,
documentation.
could you verify that just before our next meeting so that we know what we're homeworking?
And then if they do revisit this plan, do they need to do the intent to plan notifications?
I would not do it immediately. Let them think about the different provisions.
Okay.
Think about the extent that they want it, because it might involve, if it's really extensive, they might want to involve a planner in that aspect. A lot of times you only have to review it every 5 years. You don't have to amend it. You just have to say, we reviewed it. Yeah, we're happy with it, or we want to change X, Y, and Z. But if you really want to make big changes to it, then you probably would bring in a planner. You might do citizen surveys. There's a lot that goes into actually preparing a master plan. And so that's why I think you need to figure out what direction you want to go first. Look and see, is it just tweaks here, tweaks there? And then, if it's just that, then just do a notice to intent to plan. This board, maybe can just handle that, with Casey and myself and make some changes to it. But if you think it's more extensive, it might be something you got to go ask the township for funding for. And it might be, I don't know what's in their budget for that, if there is anything this year. I mean, obviously they would know maybe every 5 years they need to put it in, but we're a little early, so I don't know if it would be there yet. So I really wouldn't do the notice of intent to plan until we really kind of have a good game plan of what we're looking at.
I do know that Superintendent has budgeted for a full site plan overhaul, either, not overhaul, but there is money in the CIP for the master plan, either next year or 28. So I don't know if Treasurer Bloomfield wants to inquire on exactly how much and what could that be allotted to, but I do know that there is funding in there scheduled for the CIP.
I would hope for next year, since that's when it's required to be reviewed and not 28. Any other thoughts on that? Treasurer Bloomfield, any?
No.
Jimmy?
No, I said what I had to say. Thank you.
Joseph? Greg?
Nothing further.
Bob?
All good, thank you.
Good.
Okay. All right, so we'll look to add that to a later agenda then when we have time to kind of go through it. And that should help us figure out next steps forward. Great.
I agree.
All right, any other business? We are down to Mark, somebody help me with that. Zanotti, thank you, rezone request. Casey, can you loop us in on that?
Yes, so I have met Mr. Zanotti a few times. As he stated before, he has mentioned, or in his letter, he met with Jody Staforia as well, my predecessor, and he has stated that he believes the township has made an error on the zoning for his 2 lots, one on Lay and one on East Main. They are both split zoned, right? He has provided minutes. Let's go to the picture. There you go. These are both of his lots. They are pretty much split zoned, right in half. B3, commercial, and the residential. He states that he once came to the Township Hall and he saw previous maps, and it was zoned all business. He provided minutes that stated commercial, as well as a tax bill that states commercial. He also has stated that this is his business right here, Precision Pools, and it is in the residential area. So he's like, why would that be in the back half when the front half is commercial? He is not here tonight because he's requesting a fee waiver from the rezone request, or rezone cost. He feels like he does not need to pay to have his rezone considered, as it is the township's error in his mind. So on Monday, he will be attending the Township Board meeting, to basically complete this request in front of the Township Board. I have also added more maps to the Township Board meeting or Township Board agenda. So while you just have this in this packet, in the minutes, there are additional, I think, 1980 zoning map, 1992, and I also put 2006 in there, I believe, in the Township Board agenda that was just released. Dependent upon how the Township Board votes for his fee waiver, this will come to you all in March or April. So no action needed, just a heads up that this is coming down to you, depending upon how Monday goes.
So nothing, Attorney Paul,
Has he given you any?
Just, there's nothing we can do with this.
Yes, if it's going to the Township Board for a request for fee waiver, let's see what happens with that request.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen other maps and other things, so, I mean, that'll be interesting to look at and see if it maybe truly was an error. You know, those things do happen over the years with maps and so forth. I've had that a number of times with updates to zoning and so forth. But, you know, the board will consider whether or not they'll waive fees. If they do, then you'll see it, you know, as a rezone request. If they won't waive fees, then either he's got to pay or come here and ask you on your own motion to consider rezoning it.
And I certainly would. I mean, this should not have happened. I feel this is our error, or the Planning Commission's error. Someone drew the line across there without acknowledging property boundaries. In fact, the building that he uses commercially is in the residential portion of it.
It was another business before that, I believe.
Reynolds Plumbing was in the back.
Right.
Precision Pools was in the front. And on Lee Street, right here, there was an abandoned house that sat in there forever and ever and ever. So, and they've had this controversy going on for years and years and years.
It's not abandoned now. That's a decent-looking residence there.
Yeah, well, one time it had no windows in it and it was abandoned.
It's not abandoned now. And I have no problem moving that B3 line back to his property line. I mean, that's the way it should have been done in the first place. But The other parcel is a residential parcel, and B3 does allow single-family residences, but as a special use. If the property owner wants that triangle in the back turned into B3, I would be willing to acknowledge that too, but maybe that should be residential, although it fronts a major street, which is why it was B3 originally.
Just shouldn't be split zoned.
Well, no, that should never happen. That should never happen. The rezoning should follow parcel lines. I mean, I can't imagine a situation where you would split a parcel. So I sympathize with his fee thing, and I realize we shouldn't move ahead until that's either resolved or he pays the fee, but this is a case where he absolutely is entitled to have that turned back into B3.
But maybe the pieces were not bought both together.
No, I don't think they were. I think
That's
they were
why
two different parcels at one time.
Yep, that's what I'm
Because I
guessing.
lived up the top of the hill, so.
And he probably never came back to get it adjusted.
Yeah.
But somehow they assumed it was,
I would ask,
or we assumed it was.
I would ask the property owner, does he want that, the residential part to be residential, or does he want it left business? But again, because it fronts, Main Street, it makes sense for it to be business, but.
I'm thinking he wants it resolved because he's becoming an older gentleman and he probably wants to sell the piece of
Yes,
property.
I'm sure that's the case.
Yeah.
So,
He's entitled to that.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
But I
So-
think at one time Reynolds Plumbing was in the residential and the master and the pool company was in
It's one parcel.
B3.
It's
well,
one
at this
parcel.
point, we can't presume to know how he wants it or what, so I suppose
He
it's
wants
a
it
moot
cleaned
point.
up, though.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
it's a moot point until it goes to the Township Board.
Yeah,
Fair?
Yep.
Okay.
yeah. I remember.
Yeah, I know it was.
All right.
I'm that old.
So am I.
We're moving on to citizen comment. The same rules apply. You have 3 minutes, and over to you.
Thank you for doing that moratorium. I really appreciate it. There's another thing I want to talk about too. The guy that wants to build the houses, what's his name? I can't think of his name. He's not gonna go by the rules, I already know that. Because he built a house for a friend of mine and, no. We need tornado sirens here also. That's another thing I wanted to bring up today again. We definitely need those. You guys, like I said, you got the best plant going in, but there's nothing, your guys' hands were tight because of the state. But this data center, a pavilion fought it and they won. We gotta fight it now, so they don't put it here. Because like I said, it's just, you can't sell us to the highest bidder no more. The residents are done. And you guys gotta think about who's paying your wages. It's the taxpayers that live here. We don't want our taxes to go up. And like I said, that one town, they just left because of that data center. There's a lot of things that you guys should know about. And I looked it up. People look at me like I'm crazy, but I have looked all this stuff up. I do have proof of it, and I will bring in the paperwork if you need it. About those data centers and stuff like that. I mean, it's just, not to keep repeating myself, but like I said, we do need those tornado sirens. We gotta vote them in here. We have to get them in here. I was looking up a thing about the BES also, where fire departments need special equipment, they need special uniforms and everything like that. All the firefighters need them, and they're like, I think they said about $25,000 a piece to suit them, Because once they get that stuff on their uniforms or anything like that, they need to be replaced. I'm just hoping that he don't sell that golf course. I really am. But from what I hear, he's not even considering it now. There's too many, he's got too much heat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd like to readdress the business service establishment policy. The guideline clearly states, if you look up the definition of a business service establishment, it's typically a contracted service with another agency. And the definition clearly defines protective services. I don't know why I have to appear and be told by the zoning assistant that it will take me 6 months to get in front of you to get the verbiage protective services under what is clearly defined as a business service establishment. That's what I was told. This is holding us up from writing grants. This is holding up the commitments of the contractual deals with the state of Michigan and Kalamazoo County and Child Protective Services. I frankly have had it with that. I've also been told that you guys have already had the permanent food truck permits in place. I'm being told that's not longer, that is not true. I was told I'd do a sketch. I did my sketch the best I could. I wasn't told I had to have architectural drawings for an 8 by 10 by 8 trailer. And did everything I was asked to do. I'm frankly just fed up, and we're just really we're trying to build up downtown, the original downtown. The original downtown. We're trying to bring it back. And I have not got any cooperation by coming in, sitting down with the DDA board, talking to them, trying to get a feather in their cap, saying, look, we're trying to work with you too. Look, we're trying to work with you. Every time I get brought in, Casey gets brought in from Steve, and we get in this big old tie down with Steve trying to take control again and everything else. I frankly have had enough. We need to get to the bottom of it. I don't know why I have to wait 6 months to get in front of you for that zoning text amendment, just to get what is a business establishment, because the verbiage is clear, contractual agreements with other services. That is the definition of a business service establishment. And under that definition is protective services. And under protective services, obviously, would fall into that realm of court-removed children in foster care in protective services. So my hope is that you will read the definition. I don't have to sit here for 6 months, come in front of you for a text amendment, hold up my grant writing, and we can pursue what we're trying to do. We have many foundations on board.
Thank you.
Goes.
Just want to say hi. Thank you for being here. You guys have a big job in front of you. I appreciate that you've taken on the data center stuff again. Good luck. Oh, I wanted to talk about heat sinks too. You know, we were talking about the islands in parking lots and the size of them. The greenery there is, in my mind, would be there to help relieve some of the heat that's built up on concrete. So that's the only thing I was thinking about when you guys were talking about the width and the size of it. Also the plants, which you guys already talked about, the amount of plants that you could put in and the size. And Bob, you had mentioned weather vane and why PUDs hadn't been done much in our township, and I don't think they have been done much in any township, or because people wanted large houses, they wanted a lot of land, and at this point, at least in my world, they were looking for smaller communities, and if they could have it walkable to amenities, which would be the mixed use. Portage, well, it's not really Portage, Texas Township did one with, they're bigger houses than I think is necessary, but they're houses that are closer together than what we would have in a standard neighborhood, but they all have walking trails, they all have easy access to food, restaurants and things, and it's an older community, so, I mean, for older people. So I think that's where some of that will really play in, and I know that my kids have looked for those kind of things as young people. They are downtown trying to get where they have walkable things. They don't need to be, they don't have the time to deal with the large yards and large houses. They just want a place where they can get out and walk around. So I thought that was a cool idea. Good job, you guys.
Thank you. All right, moving on to updates from other boards.
CBA has not had a meeting.
Treasurer Bloomfield, anything from you? Training updates?
None.
Informational, future action items?
The next week's agenda is already out. I talked to Chair Lawrence about it and what will be on it. I do have packets available for pickup after the meeting, so once we adjourn, I'll go grab them and pass them out to you all, so you need to come make a trip tomorrow. If you all looked at the Township Board agenda that was posted about 3 o'clock, you will see there is a step one, or phase one, site condominium for Matt Watts' project on Lee Ave. And there on that agenda, there's the site plan, and then along with the general ordinance that covers our site condo process. It is different than a site plan. A site condo is kind of like the South Haven PUD option, where it requires both Township Board and Planning Commission approval. So he submitted it this morning, and it will go to the Township Board on Monday just for a review. It will also come to you all next Thursday just for review. No discussion, no motion needed. And then it will go on March 12th. We'll have a public hearing for his site condo. You may choose to table it or act on it, and then whenever your decision is made for recommendation, it will go to Township Board for ultimate approval. And then as site condos go on, he then needs to come back for step 1 or step 2 and step 3 approval through the Township Board. So there are check-ins as the process goes on. So just a heads up, in case you guys did see that on Monday, it'll come to you guys for a public hearing on the 12th. Anything else? You guys will see the agenda once it comes out. Unsure if anybody wants to, no. The request that Mr. Kearney is talking about will come to you all via Kyle when the application and fee is paid for, but he is now working with Kyle for all those items. And that is it.
Casey, I would just suggest the condominium site plan or condominium plat that is going to be presented. If you would provide that ordinance to the rest of the Planning Commission like you did to me, I think that would be very helpful. There's a separate ordinance that involves that site condo.
I believe I put it on the agenda, so we should be good.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
I think so.
The ordinance isn't in the zoning ordinance. It's a separate city ordinance or township ordinance, so it would be helpful if everybody had that.
Casey, can you help remind me timeline of being able to amend next week's agenda? Because we had included, for example, the master plan on there, which now probably could be stricken from that agenda.
Yes, so it can be amended. I can go in and do it online whenever, or we could just act upon it at the meeting.
Sure, we can do that.
Yeah.
Make it easy. Okay, great. All right, Planning Commissioner comments. Treasurer Bloomfield.
No, I'm good, thank you.
I feel that we discuss a lot of things and we're being proactive, which I like doing. We're looking at things and we're being more prepared for when things come up. Thank you.
Larry?
I agree with James. I think we're heading the right direction.
Bob?
I agree with Jimmy.
Nothing.
Nothing specific. Thank you.
I don't have anything either. I think it was a productive meeting, and I think for the length of that agenda packet, we didn't do half bad. So Thank you all, and with that, this meeting is adjourned.
All right.